What's happening? Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make your own trigger stops. It's really easy, really simple, and extremely cheap. And the best part is, if you don't like it, or if you want to change it, or anything like that, it takes 2 seconds to rip it off and do it again. So here we go. Okay, so before we get into the video, the first question you need to ask yourself is, why do I need trigger stops? Because I asked myself that same question. And actually, when I ordered my controller from Cinch, I didn't put them in. I didn't see any use for them, because whether you're here or here, it's the same. It's the same thing, for aiming and shooting. And people will say, "Oh, you get faster shots. I get my shots off faster." That's a total lie. There is no faster shot. But what I did notice, greatly, was accuracy. And if you think about it, you can see this one has nothing, and this one has a trigger stop, and you can see, I don't know, maybe a ½ inch, finger thickness difference there, from where I'm not having to go down, but I'm still getting off, the same shot. And if you have to pull down that ½ inch less, it gives you, because in Call of Duty or any real shooting game, and you get down and you're playing or whatever, a lot of times it can come down to just 0.2 or 3 seconds difference between a death or a kill. So if you have to pull down that that ½ inch less, which 0.2 or 3 seconds, you have more to focus on aiming. You're not making that pulling motion still and trying to aim. So that was the biggest thing that I noticed, was just the simple fact that my aim got, I don't know if my aim got better or if I just had more time to focus on aim. But that was the biggest thing that helped me. Okay, so here we go. This is everything you're going to need to make these trigger stops. Now, unlike some of the other tutorials I've seen on YouTube, you don't have to drill, you don't have to have screws, you don't have to worry about, boring through your controller and messing it up. This is probably, without doubt, the simplest way, easiest way you could do this. Okay, so everything you're going to need, maybe if you don't have this stuff at your house, which I feel like most of these things are really, really basic household items. So here I got a Gatorade top, just a normal Gatorade bottle top. And I guess you could really use anything. Don't use anything that's, too, like all that thin plastic and 30% less plastic. Yeah, don't use that because it just won't, hold up from the constant trigger pull. And another thing I really liked about this, apart from custom controllers, I actually ended up putting one on my trigger and one over here, and I really did not like having one on my accuracy. I loved having one on my trigger, but for aiming, I didn't like the way it felt. And for me, I have really long fingers, so I don't know, it just worked out better for me. But you can put one on, two on, whatever you want. And you can adjust, the length of them with just a simple pair of scissors. Okay, so you're gonna need a razor blade, and I'm actually gonna, you don't need the entire thing here. I'm actually just gonna take this out, just a razor blade, and of course the Gatorade top, pair of scissors, and a ruler. Okay, and so the really nice things about this Gatorade top is, since it's circular, the way it flows and bends, it actually wraps really well around the trigger. So it's really clean. And it actually took me 1 or 2 times before I did it, just that it's perfect. But yeah. So anyway, what you're gonna do, take your Gatorade top and want to measure, your controller, obviously, which it's just under a centimeter. It's like 0.75. So come over here and just make you a mark, whatever you think, would be pretty close, because it's really simple to cut down. And bring your edge all the way, I'll show you right here, to the middle, like that. And then come in with your razor blade here. Okay, so after you've made your marks, you just want to cut it out. Now be careful when you get to this top edge right here, because that's the thickest part of the plastic, and so you can kind of cut yourself, I guess you could say, but yeah, just cut that and bring it up, and when you after you've made your cut, just kind of carefully bend it up, so you're not like, don't just yank it up, and then cut it off with your scissors, and then that's your first little trigger stop. Now, the first thing I noticed about this that I didn't like was the grooves for the cap, where it actually screws onto the Gatorade, put too much distance in between this and the trigger. So you want to just take your razor blade and just get in to the actual, like the actual part of the trigger, and just whittle it out here, but hold it where you have obviously the most power over it, and just ease your razor blade in back and forth, and just clean it out real nice, so it is nice and flat. You can see there's nothing in there, and yeah, it'll fit much better around the trigger. Okay, so after you kind of whittled out that those little grooves in the middle, or in the inside of the cap, you can come over and you can throw it on, and you can see that, I mean, it's it's perfect. I mean, it just, the way it lines up and the way it sits, there's not too much space in between this and the trigger, and you want to make sure to put the side that has the grooves on it. You want to make sure you put that part on the on top, and the flatter side down. So then you want to get some duct tape, which I forgot to mention earlier. Couple bucks tops. Most houses probably gonna have some duct tape around. Don't use masking tape or anything like that. And the cool thing about the duct tape, I was really worried at first. I was originally gonna use glue, and it won't. Glue will not make plastic stick to plastic like this. Not with this gloss finish. So don't even try that. It won't work. And duct tape, actually, I was a little hesitant to originally use duct tape, just because when you have duct tape on something for any length of time, and then you want to take it off or change it or whatever, you can't. It leaves that tape stuff on the. I was worried about that. That sticky just shit. But actually, since Xbox has the glossy finish on this, it won't. I mean, it just peels right up. It makes a great stick, but it won't hang on your controller. So if you just want to, and you can see, if you just want to take it, this one's been on here for weeks, months, but I mean, you can just easily pull it off. I've actually got this one taped really, really well, but you can pull it off, and you can see, there's a little on there, but with that gloss finish, I mean, it peels right off, and there's none of that after stuff. I mean, it's just as clean as it was before. So after you've done that, and another thing I did notice, when you're cutting it, if you want to cut in more, it will help you, just because obviously the more plastic, the more Gatorade top plastic you have on this, the better hold you're gonna get. So then get your duct tape. So you got your duct tape here, and this is actually a little bit. This is actually not called duct tape, but it's the exact same thing, and it's webbed, so you can take it and you can literally kind of pin down. You want to keep it, say finger width or so. You can pin down the tape and just sort of pull it up, and it will rip just perfectly to wrap your trigger, because you obviously don't need a big piece of tape. But you can see, like, I mean, it just it rips up just the size that you need, and just get you a nice strip of that. Cut that off, and then now you don't want it too long, because if you get it too long, it will actually get to where when you pull, it can stick into the sides of the trigger. So you want to cut them like just under an inch or so, 3/4 of an inch. And yeah, that will really, that's plenty. But what I did, you can see here, it's just want to lay one on top, because that's going to be your top piece. And then you want to put your top piece on first, because that's the part that's going to be taking the most, abuse, I guess you could say, with pulling down. So make sure your top piece is taped down first. So after you've cut your tape and got your top piece on, you're going to come around and tape the back. And the back one has a lot more leeway in it, just because you have a lot more space to come forward with. And you can actually get a credit card, kind of like, and use it like a squeegee, and just kind of really tighten it in when you put your tape on. But it's not absolutely necessary. So after you put all that on, and you've made your first two, and you've gotten the top on first, and then you put the back on, you just come around and just lay it in around, and you can see the areas that it would need to be taped up in. And you build up your tape, but keep it to where it's not going to go down into the trigger and to the actual spot around the trigger. And yeah, and there's your trigger stop. And mine, I mean, I've had it on for several weeks, almost a month or so, and I haven't retaped it. It hasn't come out. And you can actually, after you're done, this part down here will kind of just poke out a little bit. So you want to make sure that you tape it really good. But the good thing about plastic is, especially this plastic, is, where to go here, is it bends. I mean, it bends really, really well. So you can make it, extremely tight up against the trigger. And as long as your tape's good, and you want to get, obviously, just a tick of angle on it, because your back of your controller or back of your trigger is angled, and yeah, but it'll fit down in there really nicely. And you can try it at different lengths. You can try it really, in any way. And if you don't like it, it's just as simple as that. Gone, back to normal. So yeah, thanks for watching. I will be doing another tutorial here in a couple of weeks. I got another design on these trigger stops that I'm going to be putting up. It's a little bit different for people with maybe shorter hands, or just people that like a different feel, because that is one thing I have noticed is, a lot of times it's a feel or whatever, what just works best for you. So yeah, Rate, comment, subscribe, and welcome to Triton TV. Thanks for watching, guys.